December 14th, 2025 marks 10 years since Brandon Helms went missing from his Lanier County home. Join WALB for a special edition of Pining, Missing in South Georgia. Thank you so much for joining us for this special edition of Pining. I'm Jamie Worsley, joined by our very own Brittany Blake. Brittany is taking the reins on a segment that we have brought to you here at WALB for about the past year now, and that is our Missing in South Georgia series. It used to be headed up by Lena Allen, but since she has gone on to another station within our company, we wanted to continue telling these important stories and also finding a place to include them on Pining as well. And so, Brittany, you have really started getting invested in some Missing in South Georgia stories. Tell me, how did you land on the story from today?
So this story actually came about while I was working on Derek Evans Jr., his missing persons case, and he's been missing for 5 years as of November. And as I was putting information out about that in Valdosta, it's when this came about and people were like, have you ever heard about Brandon Helms? And I was like, no, I've never heard about it. And he's in Lakeland, you know, he went missing from Lakeland, right up the road from Valdosta. And so I started looking into it, trying to get some more information and just figure out what happened. And it was such a mystery that it made me dive into it and call on investigators and, you know, just try to see how I could help this family get more information out there about their missing loved one.
When you spoke to his family, tell me about their experience kind of navigating a missing persons case like Brandon's.
So I followed up with his cousin actually on social media and talked to her, and they've basically just been begging for support for the last 10 years. They've been asking people to send in information. They've been asking for detectives to take this on. They've really been asking for the GBI to get involved in this. And when I talked to his mother, the main thing she said is that they just want to know what happened. You know, they can't believe that he would just walk away from his children. So they just kept saying, she kept telling me, like, I just want to know what happened. I don't want to press any charges if someone did something to him. I don't want to do any of that right now. I just want to have closure about what happened to my son.
Sure. So I do want to take a moment here to play out the piece that you recorded with his mother and just give people a little bit more background information about the case. So let's take a listen to that now, and then we'll come back on the back end and discuss kind of where this investigation may be going in the future.
Brandon, we miss him so much. He was a sweet, kind, loving person to me. You know, I thought he was, of course, I'm his mother, but he was caring. You know, he cared for people. He had a tender heart. He was a hardworking man. He loved his children like, I don't know what, even his stepdaughter.
December 14th, 2015, that's the last day anyone saw or heard from Brandon Helms. The 42-year-old father of three was separated from his wife and living with a roommate in Lakeland. That night, his wife called his mother asking if she'd heard from him. She hadn't. And when Brandon wasn't at home, his roommate reported him missing.
I'd just like to know what happened. I just wanted to say, Mama, this is what happened, you know. I want him to say, I didn't walk off and leave y'all. I'm not that kind of a person. Something happened. I know it had to have happened, Brittany. I just don't, he's not the type of man that would walk off and leave his children.
Brandon Helms shared a home with his roommate on Teeterville Road 10 years ago. Inside, his mother found his cigarettes, lighter, and his phone. Outside was his truck filled with gas. Tracking dogs showed that he didn't just walk away, but his mother says only 2 searches were conducted, and she believes other missing persons cases have gotten more attention.
We have begged them to turn it over to the GBI, but they will not. We've even talked with judges. Nobody down there in Lakeland will listen.
Nearly 10 investigators have handled Brandon's case since 2015. We spoke to a few former investigators, and they tell us that the initial reports led nowhere. We reached out to Lanier County Sheriff's Office for an update, but they said they could not comment on an active investigation.
It's frustrating. It's very and heartbreaking. You have a child that's missing, no matter what his age is. You want him found or her found, you know? If you've never been through it, you don't understand the pain.
Despite the pain, the family still hopes Brandon is alive and listening. If he is, he'd be 52 years old now.
Please come home. Just let us know something. Call your mother. Call your daddy. Call your brother, your sister, call someone, and let us know if you're alive. We don't know if he's on the street in the cold. We don't know. But if somebody knows something, please have a heart and tell somebody. I don't even think that I would want to punish at this point. I just want to know what happened to my son.
If you know anything about Brandon Helms' disappearance, call Lanier County Sheriff's Office at 229-482-3545. Reporting for WAOB, Brittany Blake, your hometown news source.
So, Brittany, obviously, still a lot of unanswered questions regarding this case. I know you mentioned that the family wanted the Georgia Bureau of Investigation to get involved. In the state of Georgia, the only entities that can request the GBI include the initial investigating departments, whether it's a sheriff's department, police department, district attorneys, certain judges, also the governor himself. What other recourse does the family have, or what message should they have about just kind of where we stand right now?
So right now they really don't have anything else. They're kind of leaving it in the hands of the sheriff's office to make that decision. And with it being 10 years, people have returned after 30 years, 40 years. People have returned home, but you have to make the effort and take the time to search for them, to maybe do age progression photos. They don't even have any of that because none of that, it's never been turned over to another agency to move forward. So I think that's kind of where they're at right now, is just hoping that maybe this story will be a part of getting the Georgia Bureau of Investigation to look into it and maybe want to see what can happen next to help this family actually get some closure.
Yeah, we definitely have seen cases like this be solved, whether it's through advanced DNA technology, but all of these things require resources and direction from law enforcement. So I understand the family is appealing to the sheriff's office, local police departments to consider branching out to get assistance from higher agencies. So again, if you have any information, please make sure you share it with local law enforcement so that this family can have answers as we head into another holiday season, their 10th without Brandon Helms. Thank you so much, Brittany, for joining us for this edition of Pining. I'm Jamie Worsley.